Someone once told me that the best way to give honest feedback is with a shit sandwich. But apparently, you can't say shit within the first 30 seconds of a YouTube video. Oh shit! Those of you unfamiliar, a shit sandwich is when you hide criticism in between two compliments, like, you're funny, your content is great, but your footage looks like you shot it during a hostage negotiation. Luckily, my first impressions of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 are mostly bread. Speaking of bread, I spent quite a bit of dough upgrading to the Pocket 3 from an iPhone SE. That's the phone that Apple makes for people who wanted a phone and not a tablet. And then almost immediately, DJI dropped the Pocket 4. So part of what I want to answer in this video is, did I make a massive mistake? Or did I accidentally make a really smart purchase? So today I'm going to give you my first impressions of the DJI Pocket 3, looking specifically at usability, flexibility, image quality, and whether this thing is actually worth the money. Okay, so the one thing I will say is the touchscreen is... Ooh, see? In case the fact that I'm still holding on to an iPhone SE in 2026 doesn't make it clear, I'm not really a gear hound or even a gear reviewer, but I know I'm not the only YouTuber who doesn't own 15 cameras or work in a studio that would make Hollywood blush. So a lot of this is coming from the perspective of the average small creator who just wants a camera that's easy to use and doesn't make their videos look like they were shot in analog. And overall, I'd say this camera's fairly easy to use, even if you don't know your shutter speed from your aperture, starting with the menus. The menus are fairly straightforward. First, you want to pick your resolution by swiping up from the bottom. And by the way, I am not shooting any of this in 4K because, well, it's a long story, but essentially I am running DaVinci Resolve on 16 gigs of RAM. And for all of you tech bros out there,
this gen, it's the internet.
I know, that is a ridiculous setup. I desperately need a computer upgrade, but who can afford it with all the AI data centers?
This shit is why RAM is unaffordable.
And on the right, you have various effects and your sound settings. Here you will also find the option for the focus, so you can have it in continuous, product showcase, or single. And the single is basically how you would use any camera without a gimbal. And for that, you want to use the joystick to move the actual camera around to get everything in the frame. There's also glamour effects, but I've heard those are pretty awful, so I haven't used those at all. Here you'll also find the settings for the exposure, the white balance, and the color. I have just set everything to auto, even though I've been told over and over again that if you're going to use this camera, you need to use D-Log. However, I also have no idea how to color grade. I will probably not be shooting in D-Log. I have it set to normal. I am just going to use the normal mode for color. I also watched a video that had some cinematic settings for indoor use, and I accidentally used those outside. I can see blue sky over there. Whew, the colors do get washed. I went with some settings that were supposed to be more cinematic. Maybe I should go back to the default settings. I did turn the exposure back to auto, and I think it looks much better. Before it was way overexposed. I think those were settings for indoors, cinematic shots. Yeah, so that was definitely not the right settings for outdoor use. I'm actually not going to go into the settings too much here because I mainly just wanted you to see how easy the menus are to use. My main goal with this video was to use the camera in real scenarios. For instance, if you are a food channel, how well does it do in the kitchen? I'm actually making a special sandwich just for this video, and it's called the chicken and waffles sandwich. I really need to come up with a better name for it. I also wanted to test out the camera for travel vloggers because I'm thinking of doing more travel videos, and I will say that the wireless mic is definitely key for using this camera on the go. So now we are using the wide-angle lens and the wind muff for the wireless mic, so hopefully this sounds okay. So before we take her out in the wild for our very first test spin, I also wanted to mention that the Creator Combo comes with a wide-angle lens, and to be honest with you, I really can't tell a difference when I use it. So we have it zoomed all the way out, and that is without the wide lens. So I'm going to slip it on here. I don't know if that's good to do while you're filming. I also don't know if you're supposed to put it on while you're using the camera. So that's without the lens. With the lens. Yeah, I'm not really sure it makes any difference. I guess I would have to compare it to my iPhone footage, but to me, if you're going to use an extra lens, it should make a marked difference when you use said lens. But I guess I'll let you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it makes a difference? I think I really just want to look at it from a practical standpoint. Speaking of which, I really wanted to go on a hike and test this out today, but I am not even going to chance it because even if this rain clears up, it could start raining again. And that is the one thing that I think is the biggest drawback to this camera, is that it's not waterproof, but it's also not a GoPro. Maybe one day I'll have to upgrade to something that's actually waterproof, because if I drop this in that river, it's gone. I was expecting this, given that pretty much every review of this camera has mentioned the fact that it's not waterproof and it is a delicate camera. But what did surprise me is the fact that this camera doesn't really have a good zoom. When you compare the same footage of this family of woodchucks I got while pet sitting. By the way, did you know that baby woodchucks are also called chucklings? I just had to mention that because, chucklings. But my clunky old iPhone zooms in way better than this $600 camera, but I guess as long as it can zoom in 4K, it won't matter too much. Still, it would be nice to have the same base level of functionality that an iPhone does. And it's not the best for action shots, as you see in this video that I tried to get of a barred owl. I had it on the continuous mode, and I'm not sure if that was the best setting for this scenario. Probably not. But if I had known I was going to see an owl, I would have had it set up already. But I don't know if that defeats the whole purpose of having the custom settings, because how will you know when you're going to see an owl? Okay, I forgot to turn it on the product shot. That is another thing. I feel like I need to look up when you're supposed to set up the custom settings. Like when you turn it on, you're ready to record. Do you preset it before you know what I mean?
Nope.
So it's not as easy to get that perfect shot unless you have the settings down and you add a few accessories like the clamps. And I definitely want to get a suction cup for the car. So I guess here's the rest of the shit in the shit sandwich. I can't connect the app to the camera in the car, and that's a bit annoying because I would probably zoom in a little bit. You cannot use the app when you're out of service. So when I tried to do a trial run of the Creamy reviews I want to do this summer, I'm here at Palmer's, which is my favorite place to get a Creamy, and they are setting the standard for the Creamy off. No, that does not sound good. We can't call it that. I couldn't control the shot from my phone. I want to get the ice cream, the Creamy, as soon as, you want to get that first shot. As far as the camera, it's definitely portable. It took me 2 seconds to set that up, and it probably would have taken me a few minutes at least to set up the iPhone. And there's people next to me now, so I'm going to stop talking. This is delicious. I'm going to give this a 4.9 out of 5 swirls. And you also can't use the app when you're using the phone as a webcam, and it has some other limitations as a webcam, like it can't shoot in 4K when you're using it as a webcam. Before we move on, let's see how she scores so far. I have some of these bullet points scored, but we'll see if those scores stay the same. In terms of usability, I looked at setup. I wish it had more like ready to go cameras for dummies kind of default settings, because I felt like I was kind of moving the menus back and forth trying to figure out what settings I was actually in. But that could be user error or user laziness, I guess. I don't know, I'll give that like a 9 out of 10, maybe 8.5. The menus are fairly easy to use and find. I would give that a 9.5 out of 10. Learning curve, I was gonna say 9 out of 10, but I think honestly, in addition to learning things about exposure, shutter speed, like I haven't even tried 4K yet. I would say in addition to all that, you need to add to the learning curve how to carefully get it in and out of the case without freaking out that you're going to break it, because it is delicate. I had to ask ChatGPT a few times whether I was forcing it, and I don't like to use ChatGPT. I will say, especially with the face tracking, which is what I'm using now, and I have it propped on this fence post and I'm ready to grab it at any moment, it is very delicate. So that's next. Handling, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Because as I said, I'm constantly nervous I'm going to break it. I'm getting a little more used to it. Accessories, I haven't even used the clamp thing yet, and I'm thinking I might at some point when I want to get a really cool, interesting shot, the more I learn about this camera. But you have to buy quite a few accessories. Ease of use, I would say 9 out of 10. Overall, it's still pretty damn easy to use. Portability, I'm going to go 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not going 9.5 out of 10 is the delicacy. issues that I addressed earlier. Oh, one more thing. I will say, in terms of accessories, I have pants with like 4 pockets on the side, and I'm glad that I do, because the tripod that I have the one that it comes with that screws in, I can easily fit that in a pocket. I had it in my backpack, but I had to dig around for it. So you're going to want that handy, because it acts as an extra handle if you're just holding the camera, but it can also be easy to set up like I just did. And I'm gonna grab it and go down by the water, and then I'm gonna put it in the case. So you're gonna want to have it handy when it's time to put this in the case, because anytime I'm not recording, I am putting it in the case, pretty much. And I will also say that, again, with the settings for dummies, I don't know if the microphones on the actual camera are picking up in addition. Like, I can see the green line on the screen, but I don't know if the other microphones are picking up as a backup, because that was one of the selling points for me, was having backup audio in case your mic dies. So far, I think that the placement of the mic on my chest strap on the camelback seems to be the best positioning for that, but then I can't really strap the tube across, but that's okay, because I find that very annoying. It's a poor design choice by Camelback. So we're gonna go next with flexibility, and that will cover all the different use cases. So yeah, I guess we'll have to cover the rest when I get back. Let's start with the bread. Not the ciabatta bread I'm using for my chicken and waffles sandwich, but the metaphorical bread. One of the main advantages of this camera is the ability to film yourself by using the face tracking to follow your movements. And to me, this is perhaps one of the best features. I absolutely love it and use it all the time. You have to play around with the follow speed to see which one works best for you. That really depends on your personal preference. I think I have it set to normal, but I was recommended to set the face tracking or any of the movements to slow. I do have to say, I really love this feature. But you do have to get used to the continuous mode if you're not used to it. So in order to be truly cinematic, I'm supposed to get a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close-up. I'll also say that the ability to set up your wide, medium, and close-up shots with ease is another huge advantage. How's this for a wide shot? But in addition to the mini tripod that comes with the Creator Combo, you'll need a few extra accessories to make your life a lot easier. I think the product showcase feature is a nice touch, but I honestly don't know that it made much of a difference in this particular shot. So, is that showcasing it well enough? Again, that's something you'll just have to play around with. So I wanted to give you my first impressions in a real-world scenario, and as someone who might be starting a food vlog or a food tuber channel, I think if you had a better kitchen, this would be a really good camera. A less cramped kitchen would do you well. Yeah, my kitchen is not the best for making food content, but one thing I love about these small rig arms is that the clamps are interchangeable, providing even more flexibility. So I'd say if you have the right space and accessories, the DJI Pocket 3 is an exceptional camera for culinary content. Like this demonstration on how to make my delicious sandwich, which is fairly easy to make with the right ingredients. I'm using Trader Joe's ciabatta bread and Applegate chicken patties. Here's your shot of the Applegate chicken patties, which we're going to start with, since that's what I had at home. But when you smother the bread with pure Vermont maple cream, it tastes like French toast without being French toast. Hence the chicken and waffles idea. And it really does taste like chicken and waffles on a bun. There we go. Voila. Chicken and waffles in a bun. I really wish that it was not half empty. One note for food tubers is that the DJI Mimo app will make your life so much easier, since you can do things like adjust the zoom once you have the camera set up. But there are some limitations with the app. But the biggest advantage of the Creator Combo is that it comes with the wireless mic. And this particular microphone is pretty easy to set up, and it produces decent sound for a wireless mic. The wireless mic is really good at blocking out background noise. I have to be honest and say that I'm probably not the best judge when it comes to sound quality, because sound editing has become my blown Achilles heel.
See what I did there?
No matter what I do or what microphone I use, my sound is never that great. So I was excited to try out the wireless DJI microphone because I'd heard so many good things about it. And overall, it does produce very good sound quality. I'm not going to stay out here long. I really wanted to test the microphone because, as you can tell, it's windy and now there's a boat traveling by. I think that was a honk. And the backup mics on the camera are definitely a plus. You just want to make sure that the mics on the actual camera are also recording so that you have backup audio in case the wireless mic stops working. As I was out on my walk, I decided to test the sound for the different microphone options built into the Pocket 3. So here you go. So this is front and back. to now just front. The only problem with the wireless mic is that you have to get it in just the right position, and I've seen a lot of creators do this. Hold it up to their mouths like this, and it seems like probably that's going to be the best. So I can't wait to get comments complaining about it like all the other big creators. Either way, I still feel like I have to do a lot to my dialogue in post. So if you have a quiet voice, you'd really have to pay attention to the gain on the microphone settings. And I saved the most important flexibility feature for last. Battery power. It looks like we're about at half battery again, which is not bad because I haven't even used the battery pack yet, and I've been using it on and off all day. The battery life is exceptional. Even though I haven't used this camera for long periods of time, I did once accidentally leave it on the webcam mode after a live stream, like all night, and the camera didn't completely die. But you do have to remember to turn off the camera after a live stream. The camera does get warm after using it for about 30 minutes or so. I don't feel like it's gotten as hot, but according to my research, I did have to ask ChatGPT again. That's fairly normal. It just makes me nervous anytime an expensive piece of tech gets really warm after using it. And now that we have all the technical stuff out of the way, how does she score on image quality? This is the category where this camera really shines, because even though my old iPhone takes decent footage, even in 1080p, the DJI Pocket 3 is light years ahead of my iPhone footage. Plus, you could do cool things like the follow feature for an object in the middle of the scene, like I'm doing here with this old junked car. And the stabilization you get from the built-in gimbal is just no comparison. It is night and day. There's no way I would get the smooth footage like this from the car using my iPhone. The same goes for walking in this shot. I'm just walking normally. Now, there are things you can do to make the footage even smoother, but just right out of the gate, this looks pretty stable. Overall, I'd say if you're upgrading from an iPhone, especially an older one, the DJI Pocket 3 image quality is a major selling point, which leads us to our final chapter. Is she worth the dough? Look, I know I'm late to the DJI Pocket 3 party, especially since the Pocket 4 just dropped, but I'd actually done my research over a year ago, and I was ready to buy the DJI Pocket 3. But then the prices skyrocketed.
The DJI Pocket 3 now costs $800. Where just a few months ago, it only cost just over $500.
So I had to wait until the prices went back down, and now, would I say it's worth the cost? Have I made the right purchase? Absolutely. Despite all the shit in the middle of our sandwich here, the screen is tiny. I mean, that's what you're going to get for a tiny camera. The delicate nature of the camera, the app limitations, and the need for a few extra accessories, I'd say this camera is definitely worth the price, especially if you can find a good deal on the Creator Combo, which is what I would recommend, mainly because it comes with everything you need to get started. This camera is super lightweight, easy to use, and even though I can't drop it a million times like I've done with my iPhone, it can do a lot for such a small camera. And the DJI Pocket 3 is loaded with features that are designed specifically for creators, like the product showcase feature. So whether you're a closet Luddite like me, or you're ready to add camera number 16 to your tech stack, I'd say this camera is totally worth it in 2026. Lastly, I should probably mention that this video is not sponsored by DJI. But if they want a real-world perspective from a creator who will give her honest opinion, I'd gladly take a free camera out for a test drive. In the meantime, if this video helped you make a decision, the link to grab the DJI Pocket 3 is in the description. It's an affiliate link, which means I get a small commission at no extra cost to you. Maybe I can finally afford that upgrade. As for the rest of you, please hit that like button if I made you laugh, or you learned something, or you're still here. And please consider subscribing if you want more videos like the ones popping up on your screen. And until next time, stay unleashed. How many woodchucks would Willa eat if Willa could eat a woodchuck? All of them. I think all the attachments are useful. I had notes for this.